My name is Chris Hughes, and this is the American Business Show. We join business owners to take a close look at what made their businesses prosper and what to look out for in the marketplace today. If you're interested in how to get started or how to keep going, this show is a resource for you. Today we're joined by Ben Bailey of Alpha Media, a broadcast company providing radio, entertainment, and digital marketing solutions. Ben is an integrated media specialist who works with business owners to help them grow their business through local radio advertising. Ben, what is your role in Alpha Media?
My role at Alpha Media, it's funny that the titles have changed, but currently it is Integrated Media Specialist. And so my job is to represent businesses all over the market and actually all over the United States in their advertising. And of course, execute the campaign and manage it to get the right results for the client and to really take that relationship to the next level and do all I can to help different businesses with all their marketing goals.
Is radio advertising still effective in today's marketplace?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, sometimes there's perception and there's reality. And some people will think, wow, radio's been around since dirt. And so that can't be the most effective advertising. But in reality, every car still comes with a radio. More people listen to radio than they do TV. And radio is just one of the many different media formats that are available to people. And so when we look at the options that are out there, radio still is king at reaching the right people the right amount of times and creating desire, you know, and getting the word out. And it's more powerful. It seems like it's more powerful today than ever, simply because you can connect it with other forms of marketing and it just works. Every market is a little bit different, but radio brings to the table some very important elements that business owners and business leaders really appreciate.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question. How has your industry had to pivot as social media, podcasting, and live streaming have become more popular?
Yeah, it's been great because especially in radio, you know, you have different formats. And so radio brings with it all these different options like your top 40 radio, your sports talk radio, your news talk radio. There's all these segmented formats and everybody kind of has their own likes and dislikes. You know, that one person that just says, I only like country music. That's all I listen to. Well, that's great because you know that the audience that loves country music, they're a certain way, they have certain likes and dislikes. But then you take like the news talk listener, they only love to hear news, traffic, and weather and things that impact their world. And they will listen to an on-air personality that will be talking and speaking for sometimes 3-hour, 4-hour shows. And they become very locked in to that personality or that host. And they feel very loyal to them. And so they will follow them and they will be a part of their social media account. They'll go back and they'll listen to that host podcast. They'll seek them out on whatever platform, wherever they are. And so as far as the internet and podcasting and streaming, it's only helped certain areas of radio. And I'll give you a good example. When there is a terrible occurrence, and let's just say coronavirus or the freeze or something really devastating that impacts our world, people will seek out answers and they will seek out people that are in the know. And radio, in part, has become that loyal friend that doesn't let you down because the people that program the radio, that are on the radio, you know that you can count on them. They have your best interest because it's for you. And it's real time. And when sometimes things fail over here or fail over there, radio is a constant. And especially with online, there is disinformation. And sometimes people are hit with so much garbage, it's hard to discern what is real, what is false, and how do I know what is right? And radio will come down to a very poignant, localized form that says, hey, this is for you. We get it. We live and breathe the same air that you do in this market, whatever market that is. And we're going to give it all to you. And we're going to give you the facts. Now, I can't help but go to the news talk world because the guys and girls that are on the news talk format bringing you all the news, their credibility is at stake, right? If they say something that's not right, that really hurts their credibility. And listeners would say, well, I guess I'm never listening to them ever again. So they're very cautious, very careful in their reporting and then the businesses that they represent. So, and that's a long way to say that radio in the world of your podcasts and streaming, it's wonderful because it can go wherever people are going. And if that's a person that's walking their dog outside and they want to listen to something, boom, they can go. If they want to use Alexa in their house, they can get it. They get in their car, they can get it. They're at their home office and they're streaming online. It's everywhere.
Now, Ben, your role specifically is you work with businesses. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. A business owner, let's just take an example of air conditioning business and the business owner that owns and operates that air conditioning business. Competition is fierce and they're looking for an edge, a competitive edge, and they want customers. And they want customers that have homes and that have AC units that break and AC units that need to be replaced. I will specifically sit down with them and do a deep dive into their business to know exactly, okay, what are you all about? What makes you different than everyone else? Why in the world should I pick your company when I have an issue at my house versus someone else? Or you say the same thing as this XYZ company. How do we differentiate you, Mr. Business Owner? And then I'm able to really do a deep dive as far as research into the market, look at the different options and avenues on the radio. What's the commercial going to sound like? What are we going to say? Are we going to utilize an influencer personality? Are we going to put the business owner's voice on the radio? Is the goal to push people to the website or to make a phone call? And then what's really great about that is there's a other component, which is the digital component. Radio is massive, and it really is the push that gets people to do something. And a lot of that has to do with what is called theater of the mind. When you are sitting there in your car and you hear a commercial come on and it's talking about a hamburger and it's describing how that hamburger tastes, ingredients, how it's made. Next thing you know, you're salivating all over your steering wheel and your brain is saying to you, man, you could see that burger in your brain. You could taste it. We have got to go get it. And that's theater of their mind. Now, your phone is real helpful because you're going, hey, where's that burger place near me? And the phone will pinpoint you exactly where to go. It might even point you to a website that has a coupon. It may go to social media. Next thing you know, you're a raving fan of a burger place and you don't even know why. But it's all these things. Radio's the push, digital is the pull. And so what we do at Alpha Media is work directly with that business owner so that they don't have to worry. They don't sit there and go, okay, I've got to figure out how to do this campaign. What am I supposed to say? How's it going to work with my Facebook page, my Instagram, my website, all of my other marketing arms that I have out there, my tentacles? I don't know what to do. They don't have to know any of that because that's what I do. And then follow the campaign through so that it is constantly optimized. It's always changing. And that's the beautiful thing about the world we're in right now is that as technology gets smarter, as new things come about, we're able to pivot quickly. You know, sometimes people ask me all the time, like, hey, once we get this deal kind of locked in, how soon can we be up and running on the radio? And I say tomorrow. I mean, it really is that easy. Digital can be just as quick, but it does take a little bit more time. But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. With a lot of times business owners appreciate the fact that they can call and say, look, we have a need. We have a need right now. We need to hire these new people, or we have a specific sale, or we have an event. Or let's just take like a ribbon cutting, you know, that we want to invite the public to. It's like you can just get it done, get the word out to the masses and instigate change. And that's one of the beautiful things about radio.
So do you find there's certain businesses or certain industries you work with that radio advertising works very well for, and then there's other industries that maybe radio advertising is not the right fit?
Well, over the years, and I've been doing this about 20 years, I tend to gravitate towards businesses that I know I specifically work well with. And what I mean by that is every radio station and every music or news or talk format has a listenership, has a certain demographic. For example, news talk radio is beloved by many people, especially in a world that is changing with news, and especially when it's divided politically and there's all these things that change locally as well as nationally. News talk is powerful, but 18-year-old kids, or let's say 12-year-old kids, do not really listen to news talk. Surprise, surprise. It's more of a format as you grow older, you grow into. You start to become more aware and you seek out information. So that's why news talk radio is designed to be adults 35 up, 35, 45, 55, 65. We'll go all the way to rigor mortis. How about that? And what works really well for people in those age demographics, they probably have a first, second, third, fourth home. Maybe they have a little more discretionary income. Maybe they're a little more educated. Maybe they own a business. So those people, we're going to cater to them much differently than, say, younger people. So I find myself the business categories that do very well are anything that have to do with home improvement, really. Over the years, that's what I've noticed, because we all have a home that needs help at some point. The AC breaks, there's a plumbing issue, foundation problem, roofing, new floor, appliances, painting. The list goes on and on. Or maybe somebody wants that brand new kitchen. Well, when you utilize a great, powerful radio commercial to the news talk audience that can visualize the change happening in their home, they are looking for a credible company to actually come inside their house. And I have found that over the years, the news talk listener is the type that will see a truck drive up to their home and somebody from a trade, let's say it's the pest control company, that they're going to come into their house. Well, they'll peek out the window and they're looking to see, okay, is that truck legit? Does it have a company logo? Is it clean? Is a guy or girl getting out? Do they look put together, professional, clean? Do I want them inside my home? And if a company adheres to all business is show business in a way, right? And those businesses that really understand that one happy customer can lead to multiple happy customers. Once they get that, they understand that, it's a beautiful thing. So I've noticed over the years, sometimes home improvement categories do extremely well, but then you transition and go to, say, another format like sports talk radio, predominantly male, good incomes, homeowners. It's interesting, the sports fan, yeah, you can do restaurants, you can do wings and pizza. You can also do a jewelry store, because guess what? Those guys may want to buy a nice gift for their wife. But then let's go to the top 40 music station. Maybe it's a furniture store that has all these specials for that first time homeowner, right? That's looking to pack their house with some beautiful furniture, because guess what? That person has never owned a home before. And what do you do when you get your first house? You got to buy some stuff. So that top 40 music station really goes towards maybe that younger person that is in the acquiring stage of life. So a furniture store would do exceedingly well. Now, as far as some of the other industries that may not do very well, I think if you are in such a niche, if a business is in a very niche market, sometimes that gets a little tricky, right? Because the narrower you get, where you've got to go after a very specific audience, that can be tricky. But that's the beauty of where we bring digital to the table, because Alpha Media and media in general, it's not just radio, it's more than that. And that's where we can fine tune it and get really down to that pinpointed person. But I'd have to think about that, a business that just does not do very well on the radio. I mean, if you're a place that's just advertising colonoscopies, we'd have to be really targeted in that audience. We'd have to be really careful with the messaging, but it is a need.
Yeah, I think about it, some of what you're saying there. I mean, really, if it is something that, what you offer as far as the radio goes, it's kind of a shotgun approach, and it's going to work if there's a lot of people, that maybe would purchase that product, right? But if it is only a few people, maybe you have to be a little more specific with it.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes you think about that, the shotgun approach. Well, look at it this way. Let's say that a radio station has about 150,000 people listening every single week. Well, as a business owner, you're not out to get 150,000 people calling you. That would be crazy. If you got 1% of 150,000 people calling you, you'd be busier than you could ever be. If you got 0.5% of 150,000 people calling you, you'd be busier than you could ever be. So sometimes you really look at, I want to find that right person at the right time. And this is why radio is great, because some people are very habitual. They'll get up at morning at the same time, they get in their car at the same time, they go to the gym at the same time, and they turn on the radio at the same time, but they don't have a need for a new car. They just don't. But they keep hearing these car ads. Their brain does not click on that they are hearing a car ad because they don't need it. But then that moment that the car goes that bad, they need another vehicle. Next thing you know, they feel like they hear it. They're hearing that ad and they go, man, I feel really compelled to go over to this place and check it out. And they think, well, it's just because I heard this ad. Well, no, it's because you've heard that ad for years. And that made a big impact in your purchasing decision. Why, when you search online, why are you clicking on that link? Well, it's because you were exposed to that radio commercial over and over. And in a way, they have built a relationship with your subconscious. And you'll start clicking on places and links that you feel for some reason you trust, and you have some kind of connection. And we all want to do business with people that we feel like we know, like we can trust them, like they're not going anywhere. And so radio is the king at building that trust in the minds of people. And really, I love it when people tell me, hey, I heard this business is opening. And I'll ask, how'd you hear about it? They go, oh, I have no idea. We really don't. We don't know where we see things, where we hear things, where we read things. We just don't. And I don't care. I used to really get careful about that. I wanted all the credit. Like, oh no, you got that new customer because of that radio commercial. Don't you know that, Mr. Business Owner? But now I realize that's silly. At the end of the day, I just want a business owner to be killing it and to be winning, and for them to be getting new customers, happy customers, the right customers. And that's another thing. It's not just any customer, it's the ideal customer. And as long as the business owner is happy, the marketing is working, then we don't reinvent the wheel. We just press down the gas even harder.
Well, hey, let me ask you about that then. I think a lot of people looking at doing this here, they might be intimidated about the cost going into it. One of the things that it's going to be a concern is, how long do you think someone needs to do radio advertising in order to start seeing a return on that investment?
Yeah, that's a good question, because at the end of the day, it's all about ROI. I mean, it is. I mean, your marketing shouldn't cost you anything, because it should be working. It should be bringing people in. And if it's draining on a business and they're saying, gosh, I just can't do this, well, then they shouldn't. But most businesses, it takes time, because of that word that we mentioned earlier, trust. Because just because you put your name out there in the market doesn't mean that people go, well, I guess I'll just go buy from them. It's going to take time. And it's different for every business. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say that there are laptops that are on sale for $100, and they're incredible laptops, and you can only buy them on this certain weekend. Well, you're going to get a lot of people, because people go through laptops like they go through burgers. It's just, people will go for a sale, a good sale, and it's a limited time. Now, if you're needing a car, you're not going to need a car right now. And also, if competition is really high, you're going up against all these other people. So I always recommend, and the most successful businesses know one thing, that consistency is the name of the game, and that's what wins. For example, we all know what Coca-Cola is. We all know what McDonald's is. And so why in the world do they advertise? They never stop advertising. They're always going to advertise, because they know to stay top of mind and to win, you have to be consistent. Consistent always wins. So first month, yeah, you're kind of branding your name. You're kind of getting people aware of who you are, what you do, what you're all about. Second month, they're kind of getting it. The message went in one ear and out the other, but they're starting to hear the message. Third month, okay, I think I can really understand what this company is all about. Fourth month, they might be able to tell their friend what it's all about because they feel deeply associated in some weird way. Fifth month, oh, they got it. They got it. 6 months, boy, I think I could go work for them. I really got it. And then something happens. I'm not saying that it is scientific or anything, but that seventh month, maybe it's associated with the seventh month itch or something. That's when you're zooming. And over the years, it's kind of like a business is going great. We see a return. We see it starting to really pick up. And then in that sixth, seventh month, it starts to kind of really take off. And then it's almost like, whoa, let's put more onto this. Let's get something else in the mix now. Let's keep it going, keep it going. Then the first year is killer. The second year is even better. And then the third year, I heard one client told me, he said, there's two things in this world that I will never get rid of. And that's the ladies that clean my house and my radio advertising. And he remodels kitchens and bathrooms. But he's one that would say, we felt like it was a gamble. And he was the one that would say, I put my advertising on a credit card. And I was like, this thing better work. I got no choice. And then all of a sudden, the calls started coming in. All of a sudden, he started getting the feedback from customers saying, you know what, we weren't ready months ago, but we're ready now. And we're so excited to do business with you. And the next thing you know, you look down, 5 years down the road, the business owner says, I don't even have to sell anything anymore. People just call me and they say, we're ready, because that credibility has been established. That relationship is there. That unique selling point or the unique position they have in the market is evident, and the listener gets it. And so therefore it breaks down that selling cycle, and the business owner doesn't have to fight for it. And that's when the beauty of radio is just apparent.
Well, if you thought radio was dead, I think you're wrong. The world has changed, that's absolutely right. Different outlets, different formats, and different media by which people consume content. But radio has adjusted and thrives in this new world. I liked what Ben said about radio being the push and digital being the pull. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Radio ads give a business credibility and builds trust with the listener. Then given some time, that listener will have a need for the product or service they heard advertised. When that time comes, the months or years of local radio ads the customer has heard work as a driving force to push the listener to your website and to your social media. But they're not coming in as strangers. In their minds, your business is one they already know and already trust. I also liked what Ben said about advertising. It shouldn't cost you a thing. Your advertising should be making you money, not costing you money. Radio advertising is a big swing, and it's going to be an investment at first. But I know business owners that have grown their small businesses into multi-million-dollar businesses primarily through local radio advertising. They've used local radio ads to reach the demographic they wanted, to build awareness, to build trust, and to grow like crazy. If I owned any kind of service company, like roofing or auto repair, I'd take every penny I could scrape together and put it in local radio advertising. I hope this conversation with Ben gave you some insight into the world of local radio marketing, and maybe for some of you, it could be a tool you could use to grow your business. This episode of the American Business Show was brought to you by Bottom Line Realty Advisors. Don't ever sign a lease or a lease renewal without representation. Your landlord has professionals working on their behalf. Wouldn't you like to have a professional working on yours? Call Bottom Line Realty Advisors at 210-535-7800. That's 210-535-7800 and get the representation you deserve. This episode was also brought to you by American Business Intermediaries. Thinking of selling your business? Call American Business Intermediaries at 210-479-0907 or visit them at abitexas.com.